First of all, I would like to thank you, Bureau of Economic Research and Dhaka University for inviting me and giving the opportunity to present our work. So this is actually a larger research project conducted in Nepal and India. So the earlier paper that Munta presented, also part of it, there are several components of it. So what I'm going to present is, she actually gave a lot of background information, so I might skip some of the slides because the time is short. Basically, what I'm looking at in this paper is, and I have a lot of authors there. What we are looking at it is, so once you have your neighborhood cleaner, so what's the value of it? How much actually people value the cleaner neighborhood? Because we all say that we need to pick up those waste on time, the water logging, water flooding are those issues. So if you make all those things happen, so what the residents are going to gain in terms of their property price. So that is the main theme of this our research. So basically, this is again the same project. So water logging, flooding are the issues. So there are mainly three things that we identify. One is unplanned urban growth and dumping, and then next this climate event. So if you include all those together, so you have a big problem in the cities, mostly South Asian cities, which are mostly unorganized, like urban sprawl. So what are the options? There are two options, but one is hard option, engineering solution. You keep on increasing your size of the drainage, all those things, which gives the cost is increasing all the time because the city is growing and then consumption habit is growing. All the plastics and all those things are adding up. Or also like to look at this soft interventions like these three R's: recycling, reusing, reducing, plus this proper managing of the solid waste. So our emphasis on this last one. So there are a few other papers that we have published. One paper looks at the hard intervention. So what's the benefit of doing it? What's the benefit of like an engineering solution? So Munta said 22% of city area in Sylhet is under like a threat of like water logging and flooding. But with this hard intervention, it comes down to 3%. But without changing our urban culture, managing solid waste properly, it goes up to 18% in 5 years. So the investment that city makes goes away like in 5 years. Okay? So another study that we did in Nepal is, if households are like, the waste is collected properly on time from the households, they are actually willing to extra additional fee of 10 to 28%. Right now in Nepal, there is a fee system. Every household pays a certain amount per month, and then the waste is picked up from the households. But the pickup service is not like consistent. Sometimes they come in the morning, sometimes afternoon, sometimes in the evening, and then there is no synchronized time between the household putting the waste outside and the collector coming in and collecting. So what happens in between is a lot of other people, scavenger came and then they pick up a lot of recyclable things and they throw everything outside. So ultimately the waste goes to the drainage and the streets and all those things. So even if you put money and then do import, the city doesn't look clean. Okay? So if that problem is solved, households are actually willing to pay almost like a 30% additional fee for cleanliness. So that is one. So this is just so this is before intervention, this is after intervention in Sylhet. So a lot of this red area is a flooded area, and with intervention structural solution, the flooding goes down to, water logging area goes down to 3%. Similar here, just like in a flooded area in Nepal, and after intervention it goes down to very small. With proper solid waste management. If we don't do it, and it goes back to the similar like an original area. So the research question is, how do solid waste management services as a proxy for cleaning neighborhood affect the housing property price? So what happens to housing price, housing value, if we actually manage solid waste properly? So basically the methods well established in economics called hedonic pricing model. So this is, so this is the utility function. This X is all other goods and H is housing service that people consume. So this is the budget constant. This is expense on all other goods where price is normalized to 1. So this is the housing, price per house. So this is income. So these are the attributes of the house. When people buy house, they buy not just the house, but they pay for the attributes. For example, a house in one neighborhood where there are a lot of parks and then all the near to city versus the same structure, same square foot, everything, but away from the city. Those two houses, the price differs very much. So people actually pay for the attributes, not just the structural component of the house. So this is reflected in these characteristics here. So once we optimize this, so this is the basic heating model where there are 3 basic elements. One is structural characteristics where square foot, number of rooms, like the types of materials used for constructing. The other one is neighborhood, so what it is, crime rate, like how far is from the city center, the transportation, all those things. And the last one is environmental characteristics, how polluted is the area, how far is the dumping site, all those things. So this is actual econometric model. One can estimate. So this structural characteristics, neighborhood, and this is environmental. So this is some fixed effect for like a community or the district, depending on how the data is collected. So there is big literature on how to estimate these models, what are the functional terms. So one recommendation is to use box transformation. From there, you estimate some of these parameter theta and find out whether you need to use the log transformation or just the level. Okay. And then once you estimate the model, this is the institute price for the get attributes, where we are looking for this, this number. Okay? All right, so, but using this SPM in developing country is very challenging because it requires some market transaction data and property price, basically like, demand supply of the housing. And the big problem is in our part of the world, those prices are not actual price. People actually under-report to the government for the tax purpose. At least in Nepal, people, if they sell house for $10 million, the record would be like a $4 million value. So you don't get anything just using the recorded values. So, and also there being another option is like a rental rate. But most of the houses, like in part of our world, is like owner occupied. Very less are like a rented house. So this is another problem. So what we did is, so in Nepal at least, we have Nepal Living Standard Survey, which is like it's a periodic survey. The last round was done a little bit 6-7 years ago, but it gives us a good information about using this method, where actually the owners are actually asked if you have to buy this house wherever they're living today, how much they have to actually pay. So it's a self-reported price, and then there are of course biases, but there are literature. How much would be the bias for those kind of reporting? So literature says the bias may be from something like a 5 to 8%, which is not very big deal. So we actually went ahead and used that information for our estimation. So this is a nationwide survey covering both urban and rural area, but here this is the issue of solid waste management, so we actually use this urban subsample. And to complement that, we also did one city, this Bharatpur, primary survey by ourselves, where we actually covered about 1,050 households from the entire metropolitan city to actually compare what happens if we use primary survey versus a self-reported nationwide survey. So this is basically the map of Nepal, where we just put it in the country. There are 7 provinces. So basically the data comes from the urban sample. So there are this is the high hill mountain area here. It's not reported, but in the middle hill, and then this is Tarai, which is flat land. So what we did is those two areas are not similar. The hill versus Tarai, the market is different. So we segregated into hills and the Tarai to make sure that they are similar characteristics, same kind of market. So, and these are the basic descriptive statistics of the major variables that we're using, where this housing price is about 3.9 million in the hills, and Tarai 2.5 million in an average, with a lot of variations. So the standard errors are very big. So you can see that on there. And then there's another major variable is garbage collection service available in the cities, 34% in the hills, and then only 13% in Tara. Okay, so another major variable that, okay, so I'll move on because so basic results here, so look at here. So these are all the controls, the major variables here, this one. Our focus is on this one. So all are like control variables. So this, the garbage collection service, the coefficient is 0.49, which is not the implicit price, also the implicit price, but this is the estimates for log linear model. Okay, so, and for Tara it is a little bit smaller, 0.39, and all other the coefficients are giving expected sign. When the house is big, the price is high, like if you have additional rooms, they cost more, kind of thing. So here the problem is selection bias. The solid waste management service is not assigned randomly to the cities. So we got 34% cities in the hill area and 30% in the Tara area, but those are not done at random. So how to deal with this? So what we did is there are different options. So we tried this propensity score matching methods where you actually match houses with the solid waste management service and without service. Everything is like a similar comparable, but one set of households have this service and the other don't have it, and see what's the price of those houses. Okay? That's another way of looking at the selection bias. So this common support, when you look at it, is this is in the hills, this is in the Tarai. So most of the both sets, with service, without service, they have very good common support. So we're very confident about what we have been doing. And then when you look at this standardized bias, if you look at this, okay, so here, so these are biases before matching for hills, and these are biases for different variables before matching. And after matching, the biases are very close to zero, okay, in both cases. So we're very confident that the matching is actually working well. And then if you look at the estimates here, so from the econometric method it was 0.49, now 0.6, but for Tara it is exactly 0.39. So it's very it's not the same, but it gives us a very much good confidence that whatever we're doing is giving robust results. Okay, so this is the case study that we did in Bharatpur. This is the city, and these are the places where we got our sample households. These are the metropolitan area, the forest, this is the river, Big Nile river. So these are basically all the descriptive statistics. Just look at the price. So 14.6 million is the metro, so it's closer to Kathmandu. And then there are three variables that we're looking at as a measure of a clean neighborhood. One is clean neighborhood. It was asked in the question how they feel about the neighborhood, how clean it is compared to other neighborhoods. And then this collection service, waste collection service, whether they have door-to-door collection service or they have to get somewhere else. And then what's the frequency of it? Do they get daily? Do they get twice a week or weekly or more than that? Okay, so these are the information collected. And then the results that we got is so all the results basically, so this is the clean community 0.17, for door-to-door collection 0.14, and then for waste collection frequency 3.1. If we control jointly, still not much difference. Okay, so how to translate those two into implicit price? So here are the methods. Depending on what kind of transformation you are doing for the variables, if it is, both variables are in log, so this is how that should be, the marginal implicit price should be computed. If this is right, left hand side is log and right hand is no log, so this is the way to do it. If it is dummy variable, then that's how it should be done. So the results of marginal implicit prices for the Hill and Tarai from this major this national survey. So this is 632,000 rupees actually. So this is 476, which is big. Now I thought these are very large numbers. Okay, because the average price for the house was, for hill it was about 4 million, and for Tarai it was a little bit less. So 4 million, and then this is almost like, so it's a big number. So anyway. Okay, so for Bharatpur, where we did our own survey, so these numbers are more reasonable. So maybe like, when we take the national sample, the market is like, it's not like homogeneous market for the housing market. There may be different sub-markets within the hills and sub-markets in Tarai, but we don't have like a sample size to disaggregate at that small level, because a lot of variables, a lot of information are missing in our, whatever variable we needed, so we just segregate into two different larger markets, hills versus Tarai. So that may be the reason why you are getting this a little bit more, larger estimates. So what's the takeaway from our results? So clean neighborhood with soil use management significantly increases the values of housing property. So if we convert it, it's about more than 12%. Okay, the minimum 12%. Okay, that's the value for a cleaner neighborhood. So what city can do? So they can actually either charge a higher property price, tax rate, to cover the cost of collection every day on time, so that people can get like a cleaner neighborhood, or charge them a little bit higher price of whatever service charge they are putting, because there is a willingness to pay for cleaner, like a cleaner neighborhood. So this is another way. There are options for the cities. So whichever way is feasible administratively, city can actually use this so that they can actually provide better service for cleaner neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. I go on to your paper. I have a few confessions to make. First, I'm not an environmental economist. My only stint is climate policy, which is mother of all environmental problems. But that's the death. I don't have the bread to be called an environmental economist. Second point, I should say that I'm a skeptic of non-market valuation. So that's revelation. And third, econometrics is not my main strength. I stopped working on it since my 2000 publication. So you are in the wrong hand, mate, as a discussant. Now, the meat of the presentation. Very important issue, growing urbanization. So we have to manage our waste. And very professionally presented. And I learned a lot more through your presentation than from reading. But one thing I sort of early on, the symbols and the numbers are moving somewhere. So my comments will be based on your paper. Right, motivation. And the other thing I must admit that your paper, given its technical and other environmental importance, could easily pass as a review article with 64 references at the back. So very well written, very well crafted. On the motivation, I think you were talking about private benefits and also dealing with the public issue, public benefits or cost. So you are trying to sensitize homeowners, what the actual value would have been if the neighborhood was cleaner, right? So that's a private benefit. And you're talking about dealing with a public problem, an externality problem or public good problem. A good environment is a public good, right? So I'll come back to the motivation side a bit later. On the methodology side, of course, I have, like I said, I don't have much background. I had difficulty understanding your symbols, so I finally come up with few things like IPQ equals marginal willingness to pay equals MIP, implicit price, and also that is delta PI means the house price over the attribute that you are dealing with, right? First derivative. So these are all equal. Right, okay, that's good. Now, on the result side, data side and all that, right? Let me come to data first. I think, like I said, I'm a skeptic by nature, right? So I'm talking about your measurement issues. So you're trying to measure the distance in terms of neighborhood attributes. Measure the amenities from the household. So I don't know whether you travel Dhaka. In one suburb, 1 kilometer could take about 2 hours and another 1 kilometer probably half the time. So 1 kilometer is not 1 kilometer across neighborhoods, right? So you have to standardize all those things. It's not 1 kilometer could have been how long it takes, right? That could be just an example. And same with other issues, right? Banks, how far it is. So the one bank in Motijil, in the commercial area, is not same as one in a remote area. So all sorts of things you have to standardize, I guess, in terms of measurement. So measurement errors invoke some econometric problems, right? And the other thing, like I said, econometrics is not my strong point, and I know you got one of the co-authors from Indian Statistical Institute, so I will limit my comment as much as possible. I found that your R-square are very small in most cases. So basically, you left out a lot of variables in your group. So that might have some implications about the test statistics you have reported. So I will ask your colleague and yourself to look into that. Right, and then I think, second thing is about the quality. I mean, like I say, the purpose, right? Purpose of this paper. As an academic paper, brilliant, right? I don't have much thing to add to that. But when it comes to policy, I think the final thing that you presented here makes a lot more sense. Now, if it is private benefits and the households know that their house is 20% more valuable, then are they misbehaving? Do they need a nudge that, hey, you get your neighborhood cleaner because your house price is going to go up? So do the right thing. Do it yourself. Your price is going to go up. So do they need a bit of a nudge? Are they misbehaving at this stage? So that could be my question. And if it is a public good issue, right? So I think we propose increasing service charge or land tax. Now I have to sort of give an anecdote. I come with a policy experience where after the millennium drought, all farmers want to do something about climate change. And there you go. Change the prime minister. They put in place a climate change policy, price on carbon, and then when they found out that they have to pay for it, they said, we don't need any climate policy. So basically, we compartmentalize issues. Yes, we want it. Who's going to pay for it? So I'll leave it with that. Right? Thank you.
Very large, in fact, sustainable development, which may be defined as a socially acceptable, environmentally sound economic growth. We need economic growth, but that has to be accepted by people, and it has to